Hello and welcome to
County Crimes.
I'm your host, Jade Baumlin. Here we discuss local crimes, murders, cold cases, and more. We are back again with the lovely Listasia. It's great to see you again.
Hi.
Happy to have you co-hosting with me today on this case. Today we are talking about the 22-year-old Hayley Anderson case.
Yeah.
She was described as a local college student, full of energy, supportive, and charismatic. She was a nursing student at Binghamton University, and she had straight A's and was 2 months away from graduating. In March of 2018, several attempts were made to reach out to Hayley, and none of them were returned. And the big concern was when she never showed up to her friend's event, and it spiked a lot of concern. And then on Friday, March 9th, 2018, friends realized both Hayley and fellow nursing student Orlando Teixeira were both missing. And at first, Hayley's friends weren't alarmed, and her mother wasn't even aware of her disappearance. And it really wasn't concerning because Orlando was a good student.
Right.
Everything was kind of, normal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't unlike her. And then even back home, she had a party set up?
Yeah, she had a huge party set up, planned for when she graduated. With
she had a nursing job too?
Yeah, she had a nursing job lined up because she wanted to go back home and work close to home. Yeah, she had everything set in stone.
Everything was lined up for after graduation. Mm-hmm. And then Orlando was social as well. He went out on weekends. He did all the same thing that Hayley did. So it wasn't really, weird that they were both missing. It was just kind of
Yeah.
And at that time, they kind of had a little bit of a romantic interest in each other.
Yeah.
Hayley and Orlando met in class, and they didn't become friends until after it was her fourth year at that school, and it was at a party.
Mm-hmm.
Hayley, it was actually at her on-again, off-again boyfriend's party. It was Kevin. And then Kevin actually asked Orlando to join his frat. And then during one of the couple's breaks, between Hayley and Kevin's breaks, Orlando kind of snuck in there and crossed a line with Hayley.
And a little, kind of like a love triangle.
They did have,
way.
Yeah. And then he made romantic gestures towards Hayley. It wasn't really described as to what they did, but it was mad enough to where Orlando got kicked out of the frat.
Yeah, no, from what I heard and stuff like that was he continuously chased Hayley, even though she was kind of very upfront about the fact that she was I don't really want a relationship. I just kind of want
she wanted to see what was out there.
Yeah, she wanted to explore, which as
even Kevin was okay with that.
Yeah,
that's why they were on and off together.
Yeah, and I get that because every 20-year-old in their 20s, but she was upfront about it, and he wanted her.
And then after that, Orlando started showing up uninvited more frequently, doing drive-bys. He would stop and smoke a cigarette.
That's so weird to me. Why would you stop at somebody's house just to smoke a cigarette on their porch?
And then, Hayley's friend had to go outside and take care of it.
Yeah, which, she's a real one for that.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes, there's things you just don't want to deal with, you don't have energy for. So, her friend was, super real for that. Going out and being listen, dude, you cannot be here. This is not appropriate. You're crossing boundaries.
The friend said that she was possessive, or he was possessive.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
And then soon after that, Hayley posted on her Snapchat story that someone had slashed
all four tires. All four tires.
And it happened the day after a party at Orlando's house, and that night he had learned that Hayley was back with Kevin. And I believe Kevin that was the first night that he had spent back at Hayley's house.
Yeah.
And that's where the incident happened.
Yeah, that was, he was with her when that happened. And then, I know that one of her friends was the one that actually saved that video.
Yes. Yep. I saw that later in the news report. It was she was I could just kind of tell that I would need that video, and now they had that for proof.
Yeah.
Which was such a big, crucial key point that comes up later on.
Yeah, the mom was saying, this was, just starting to raise red flags.
The mother urged her to make police reports and file charges, but because she was friends with Orlando and she knew that if charges were pressed, he would lose his spot in the nursing program, she didn't press charges and only filed a police report. Which, the police report was used as evidence, but it's still, charges would have been so much better.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if it would have, messed with his dual citizenship either, but I know that she was just kind of no.
And then she did stay away from him for a little while, but eventually they became friends again, and then nearly 6 months after that whole incident, that was when she went missing, and everything kind of hit the fan. Her friends and roommates tracked her phone to Orlando's house, and they went investigating on their own. Which could have turned out so much worse for them.
Yeah.
Had Orlando had been there.
Yeah.
Because they climbed through the window and they found Hayley strangled to death on Orlando's bed and Orlando was missing.
Yeah,
But,
but if he was in there, like,
oh my God, we don't know what kind of state of mind he was in,
Yeah.
what was going on. Like, they could have found themselves in a hostage situation. It could have escalated so quickly. And, like, I don't think they let anyone know where they were going, or at least not authorities.
Yeah.
They probably were like, hey, we're going to go look for Hayley.
because I do believe that, it was, like, before that there were 2 different police reports, like, before the girls went in, and, like, they didn't find anything, so, like, and they didn't, of course, they didn't go into the building, like, into his house, because there was no, like, red flags to be like, oh, we need to go check his house, like, there was nothing, so, like, there were 2, I, like, remember there's 2, like, calls about it, and then the girls ended up just going in themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when her mom found out, she was so mad that she didn't push for charges about that tire accident. And I watched the documentary, and that was like, she was composing herself, and then when she brought up, when the tire incident was brought up again, she was like, I was so distraught that I didn't push for that. Because he would have lost his chance in the nursing program. It would have pushed him away from Hayley. It would have gotten him away in the way that, he needed to be.
Yeah.
And we also don't know in between then, like, how manipulative he was to get her back, because, like, she did stay away from him.
Yeah.
And they found their way back to each other. And he kept doing drive-bys, so, like, we don't know the level of manipulative.
Yeah.
And then the first part of, like, actual evidence that they found of Hayley's disappearance was Ring camera footage that was at Orlando's house. It was his own Ring footage. And it was used to track her movements prior to her death. And the last time that she was seen was the evening of March 8th, entering Orlando's house. Orlando, however, was seen leaving the house multiple times that night.
Yeah.
And then police tracked his purchases as well. I believe it was to a CVS.
Yeah, he got, like, sleeping supplements.
Yep, he got ZQuil and melatonin.
Which I thought was very weird.
Well, they think that she was strangled in her sleep.
Yeah, I think he drugged her, honestly.
Probably.
There was also the theory that, like, he tried killing himself, so I wonder
With the yellow tie, yeah.
So, like, I wonder if he also tried, like, maybe, I don't know how, like, the time lapses were, but I'm wondering, too, like, if he, like, tried to overdose or, whatnot. But I definitely think that he strangled her while she was knocked out cold.
Absolutely. And then, I mean, because they didn't say anything in the articles about how there was, like, she tried to resist or whatever. And if you were being strangled and you were awake, or even if, like, you woke up out of a sleeping strangle, you would fight. There'd be, like, under the fingernails, there'd be skin. He'd have defense,
No, because in the Idaho case with Brian Koberger,
there were...
Like, he at a point strangled one of them, and, like, they could see that, like, the one girl... that they fought back,
And then, like you said, there was evidence in the apartment that it's believed he tried to hang himself. There was hooks up on the ceiling that, like, he had just freshly screwed in.
Yeah.
And then there was a yellow tie hanging from a doorway along with the note. And then the note said, it was, like, in Spanish, but the gist of it was that he was sorry and that he would see his father soon, and his father was dead.
Yeah, he passed, like, I think it was, like, 2 years or something.
I thought it was 5, but it
was before,
close.
yeah.
And it was reading, like, a confession and suicide note. And 16 hours before Hayley's body was found, where he left the house one more time with luggage and went to JFK Airport and headed to his home country in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole case gets tricky and everything turns into a mess. And I never expected something from, like, Binghamton to turn into, like, international.
International.
It was crazy. This made the investigation complex as legal matters had been taken into Nicaragua's hand. And his mother picked him up at the airport and drove him to her house, probably not even knowing. I don't know, because 4 days later, his mom drove him to the hospital to be treated for self-inflicted wounds. So maybe he was just like, Mom, I tried to kill myself at school. I needed a break from it. Like, who knows what he played it off as, because if he didn't have any kind of, like, defensive other than his own on him, then it could have been that. But he was found at the hospital by police and arrested. And then this started the fight for Orlando to get extradited back to America, as charges would be so very different. But his dual citizenship caused the efforts to get extradited. It lasted over a year and a half, and the decision was made in September of 2019. They had, like, good news and bad news. It was more bad news than good news. Bad news was that Nicaragua was not willing to extradite him, but they were willing to try him in another country. The only thing with that is that in America they were charging him with second-degree murder, but in Nicaragua he was charged with, it was femicide, right?
Yeah, femicide,
Which is the murder of someone a man had a relationship with.
Yeah, basically it's like a murder with, like, against a woman because of her sex. Like, it's basically, like, just that. Like,
And it's
it
because
was...
you were in a relationship with them prior to, right?
Yeah, which
should not give you justification to hit a woman.
Yeah, like, that has, like, part of it. But I was reading more on that, like, whole charge, and it's, like, one of their more severe crimes there.
Right.
But, like, compared to the U.S., where he was going to be tried for second-degree murder...
Well, femicide doesn't even exist in America.
Yeah, no, it's not.
And the charge is 30 years max.
Yeah.
So it's, like...
Very...
compared to second-degree murder, it's life.
Yeah.
And there was a very small glimpse of hope when some good news came through that Nicaraguan authorities agreed that American authorities could use teleconferencing to assist the prosecution team. Witnesses would testify in the Broome County's DA office to a judge in Nicaragua. And Orlando's lawyer tried to use the defense that he was temporarily insane under the influence of alcohol. And then the only person to testify for him was a psychiatrist. And even then, like, I listened to the psychiatrist and what the psychiatrist said, and the psychiatrist just said, like, I couldn't even find evidence to prove that he was under the influence.
Right.
And they also deemed his mental state as fine during the trial, and therefore they couldn't deem him insane during, because if he's not insane now, what made him insane during then?
Right, especially, I'm sorry, but when you drink, you're not like, I'm gonna murder somebody. Like, no. No.
And then the judge took a brief recess before delivering the verdict, which from the documentary... They said that, like, they don't do that in America.
No, in America, it's normally, like, a day. Or, like, it could be, like, days before they come back with a verdict. But it was, like, I think they said shy of 10 minutes. Yeah.
And they ruled in Hayley's favor, guilty of femicide. And 2 weeks later, Orlando was sentenced with the maximum time, 30 years in prison. American authorities and Hayley's mother were both happy with Nicaraguan authorities that they went above and beyond in the case, because typically... international countries are not at all willing to work with people.
No, because they're like, it's not our problem.
No, right.
Yeah.
But they went above and beyond, and they were very cooperative in the investigation. But I first of all, I can't believe that I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
And second of all, I don't know. I'm not happy that the mom's happy.
Yeah, no, I feel like as, like, I'm not even a mother, but I feel like I would be like, no, like, I want him here.
I hope that when he gets out,
he dumb enough.
No, he thinks that because he had a trial there, that, because you were explaining to me before this, that he can still get tested or trialed for second-degree murder the second he steps foot on American soil. Yeah,
as soon as he steps foot. Like, he could fly here, and they'll be alerted, and as soon as he lands, he's getting tried for second-degree murder. And it doesn't matter if he gets out when he's 50 years old, and it's, 40 years, 30 years later, like, they're still going to try him.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't. Basically, like, in America, like, here, like, he didn't serve his time.
Right.
For the crime that he committed here. So, I mean, like, Nicaragua was, like, nice enough to try him over there, but...
No, but he needs more time over here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I thought that it was very, very nice to see what Binghamton University did for her graduation, though.
Yeah.
Like, especially seeing how we've had similar cases at Vestal High School, and high schools haven't done that.
Yeah, no.
Just to see a college go above and beyond.
Yeah.
And actually they put her cap and gown and flowers and a picture of her, and they also let her father go up and accept her diploma.
Yeah.
Which was it was so kind. And I'm so glad that they still gave her a diploma, because, like, she was so excited about being able to become a nurse.
Yeah. And so close.
She was 2 months away. And the efforts that Binghamton University made were so kind.
I see that with a lot of colleges, though. Like, if, like, a student dies or is murdered, like, they'll still, like, give them their diploma, depending on how close they are.
Right.
But, like, in, like, a lot of cases, like the Idaho 5 case, or 4, sorry.
They got their diplomas.
Yeah, like, a couple of the girls that were supposed to graduate, they ended up getting their diplomas.
That's
like,
sweet.
Their parents were able to accept it, so.
That's just always nice to see, because it's such a tragic case, and, you wouldn't really expect that in a nursing program at all.
Yeah, no.
Everyone seems so close there, and then even in the documentary, they said, like, with his friends that were, like, back in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
That was kind of sad, because they didn't even know. They were like, we would never expect that. And, like, I think the frat people said that, like, he was so-so, but, like, mainly his kind of behavior was just a little backstabby. It wasn't actual, like, I will kill someone.
Yeah. His friends at the end of the documentary, like, the ones that were, like, defending him, I think, like, they didn't really, like, see, like, oh, like, our friend is capable of this.
Yep.
And I think that was really sad, because I was just like, but he did it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Well, that is all the time that we have for today. A very special thank you again to Lastasia for being the co-host on this
course.
episode. And I hope to see everyone soon again. I hope to see